Hey, greatness. Welcome. Thank you for tuning in, chiming in. Listen, if you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and drop your comments in the chat, follow the prompts, tag hashtag replay. Let me know that you're watching this and you're getting value out of it from the beginning to the end. I'm Sister Mathina. I am one of the founders of an amazing movement, and I'll tell you more about that later. Matter of fact, I might hold it. Drop me a tag, leave me a comment if you want to hear about the movement that I am doing with some of my amazing friends. And let me just tell you, we're going to be talking about how we are amazingly in love with our lives, growth and all, yet we don't want to ever experience success alone, right? That we want to grow in a space where we're growing with our sisters and we have people there to celebrate successes with. So if you want to know more about that, drop a comment below and I will let you know when that information becomes available and when we roll it out. But let me just tell you, it's happening real soon. Hey, greatness, welcome. So this is coming through StreamYard. Therefore, I will not be able to see all of the comments, shares, and what have you. So make sure you give StreamYard permission to see your name so I can know who you are and that you're here with me. Welcome, greatness. So if you're new to me, I'm Sister Mathina. My divine assignment in the world is to boldly serve God's women. To boldly serve God's women. And he has blessed me with so many tools. Tracy said, tell us, please. Ooh, I will. So God has really blessed me with several tools in order to do that. And one of those tools, I say, is my superpower, is storytelling, public speaking, and creating transformational spaces for women. And I'm really excited because many of the women that I spent over 17 years serving, building stages for, they pulled me from behind the stage and pulled me to the front. And what do I mean by that? How many of you understand that every single one of us has a divine calling on our lives, and when we step and tap into it, we don't even know that we have, right? Have you ever had other people come up to you and be like, how do you do that? If you've ever had somebody come up to you and be like, all right, you can see my face right now, it's all turned up, right? Somebody ever came to you and said, how do you do that? Drop a one in the chat. Drop a one in the chat. Let me know that somebody's come up to you and asked you, how do you do that? Insert whatever that is. But there are times when I have a sign right here in my office that says, there are times when you have to move from talent to technique. Yes, I see those ones. When you have a talent, something that comes to you naturally, other people are in awe of it and they wonder, how do you do that? Well, I thought that my talent was being able to build this space and these stages and bringing in women who are speakers, a few amazing men, right? But mostly bringing in women who are speakers and have expertise and knowledge and of a wide variety of skill sets, right? We were focused on health, education, economic empowerment, personal development. And I brought these women in and we'd have a grand, amazing time. But can I tell you, that's why I labeled the live the way I did today. Can I tell you what shifted everything? Was when I decided that I would step out on the stage and I will get us started for the day with a brief little word, but a small workshop. How many of you ever called your calling small because you didn't know how big you were meant to be? So I said, I'm going to do a small little session just to kick the day off. I'll never forget walking off that stage, right? Exiting to the right. I'm walking down those 3 steps, hurry to the back of the room. We've got probably about 100 women in this large conference. No, over 100. It was probably about at least 200 women in this conference room, this ballroom in the hotel. And I'm walking off the stage, took those 3 little steps to go down the stage. And as I'm walking to the back of the room to get to the behind the scenes, because I'm doing the work, I'm serving the women. I'll never forget, she came up to me and she grabbed my hand and she said, Mathina, we want more of that. And she pointed directly to the stage and she looked me in my eyes and she said, we want more of that. I have a few remarkable moments of when I'm stepping off stage and people say things that changed my life. That was one of them. And I said, okay. I didn't know what the okay meant at the time, but I said, okay. And I began doing more from the front of the stage. Still organizing the back of the stage, baby. I can tell you some war stories about, about planning and events and organizing. But when I stepped onto the front of the stage, my audience grew. The number of women who said yes to show up in the spaces I was already curating grew, and my voice got stronger. My assignment got clearer. I had tapped into ascension through alignment. And here's what I want you to know, that I titled this, and I want, for those of you especially who are building your own tribes, creating your own spaces and communities, there is a time where you seek to ensure, and you should continually do it, seek to ensure that you're not just having achievement, you're also doing it with alignment. So for those who do not ascribe to a higher power, for those who like, I don't know about all that, you're going to struggle listening to me. I'm just letting you know that right now. You're going to struggle. All right, you're going to struggle. It's your choice, and you get to choose how you want to play in this space. But when I invite you into spaces that I curate, there's always going to be a conversation of God and divine power and ability. And so I knew when I started building spaces that there was going to be a connection. What I didn't expect, right? Moments where coming off that stage and somebody saying something to me changed my life. There was a time in 2016 that I was stepped off the stage, and I'm only 5'2" and a third, y'all. But when I throw a heel on, and I got big girl energy, okay? How many of y'all got big, like my shorties in the space? I need my height differentials, my height folks that we don't quite crack above 5'5". How many of you all out there with me? You give big energy like I did. I give big energy, but I'm 5'2" and a third. Yet the woman who stood in front of me that day was probably 2 or 3 inches shorter than me, even without my heels. And she shared that she was in her 60s. Tracy, let me show y'all Tracy. Tracy right there with me. She said, right? So she was probably about, she was in her mid 60s, so 65, 67. And she grabbed my left hand, and I had to lean down just a little bit to hear her, see her, understand her. And she said, Lathina, I want to be, and she pointed to the stage. She said, I want to be on that stage. I want to be up there. And I immediately was like, oh, of course. There are so many programs that can really support you and working on your public speaking. And I started rattling them off. Toastmasters, I'll get you connected with this coach. And then she squeezed my left hand. And she pulled my arm down just slightly. Like, how somebody tugs on your hand? She tugged on my hand a little bit. And we just leaned into each other. And she said, but Lathina, I trust you. Baby, let me tell you something. That was in April of 2016. By July of 2016, I had mapped out a speaking program. She was the first person to register. Get this. She was the first person to register and the first person to be willing to come to the front of the room and speak. And therefore, she got her entire registration fee back. Here's what I want you to get. No matter your age, okay? I don't care if you're 17 or 75. Your message, your story can stir souls. The people who are assigned to you, they're people you're meant to serve. They're assigned to you. But there's also a community that's meant to serve you. There are people who are assigned to serve you, to bring your mission, your talent, your gifting to the forefront of your life and the forefront of theirs. Where you are in the season, whether you're aligning to your community or your community's aligning to you, shifts. It looks different from time to time. But what I know for sure is for the women that I have worked with that are building their own tribes and communities, and I've been blessed to do it what I'm realizing, basically for 17 plus years, 18 years, what I'm realizing is that what we're connected to and stepping into is leveraging the power of our voice. And that is not something that's a luxury, it's a necessity. You know when it's a necessity because it claws at you, it sits in you and it swells. It's like a pregnancy. There's going to come a time, one way or the other, that it comes out of you. And what I found is that the women who are serving and striving to serve the communities that were assigned to them, the story they began to tell was so impactful, so necessary that they needed to find ways to be kind with the gift of their story. If you know that the way you share your messaging in the world, the way you share your messaging in the world needs to reach more people, drop a 2 in the chat. The way you share your message in the world, and you need to reach more people, drop a 2 in the chat. Your story. And I said that there's probably about 3 types of stories, like 3 stories that every woman who desires. And for now, I'm speaking to my sisters. Okay, I told y'all that in the title. I'm speaking to my sisters. There are about 3 stories that you want, and I would even say need, to get clear on, craft, and share in the world. Now, for those of you who are watching this, go ahead and grab that QR code on my screen, okay? Grab that QR code, sign up, join the newsletter. I am doing a Ask Mathina Anything. It's been several weeks since I've done one of these, especially done one of these public facing. I'm doing an Ask Mathina Anything on Friday. All right, this upcoming Friday. And so join the mailing list. I will send you the details. It's completely complimentary, meaning I'm investing in you and I've taken care of any fee that would be associated. No fees, right? You just have to have Zoom, jump in, the link, register, and then you'll be able to come and ask me any question that you desire about public speaking, storytelling, crafting your messaging, your story, how to handle the narrative around folks that may be family members, loved ones, people you're still connected to, but their position in the story, their character in the story doesn't shed them in the best light. Meaning they hurt you and you want to tell your story, but you're concerned about how to share that part of your story, especially since you're still connected to them. I get that question all the time. So we'll talk about that on Friday. Now, one of the things I believe as I speak to women, as we are working together to curate the communities that they serve, is identifying the stories that you need to be clear on, be willing to tell. The stories that pull the women into you, pull your community into you. Y'all know I'm always going to talk about the origin story. Absolutely, you need to be clear on your origin story. All right? That is the story that birthed this movement that's coming through you. The next story you need to be clear on is your innovation story. Your innovation story are the moments that you pivot. None of us start off with a product or a service, and that's the one product or service we keep during the lifetime of our business and our growth. It gets tweaked, adjusted, changed in some capacity. If you're an entrepreneur, you're in business, sis, and you have ever adjusted, grown, or like I like to say, innovated in your journey as an entrepreneur, drop an I in the chat. Just drop an I in the chat. If you've ever innovated in your journey as an entrepreneur, drop an I in the chat. Okay. You can email me if you want to. I just want to see that I know I'm not alone, that we are going to innovate. So what is that innovation story? What made you change? Hey, I see y'all dropping those eyes. What made you change? What made you adjust? How did you come to the idea that you want to bring something else into the space? So you have your origin story, you have your innovation story. The third story you want to have, right, is your vision story. You mean Lathada and the vision that made me come up with this? The vision of where you're going. Vision is a currency. Somebody might write that down. Vision is a currency. And because vision is a currency, and how do you know? Let me tell you this. How do you know vision is a currency? Because you need people to buy in. Listen to our language. I just need them to buy into what I'm saying, what I'm sharing. That's how you know vision is a currency, because you need people to buy into the story, the messaging. So what vision are you creating that you want your community to buy into? And once they buy into it, here's how you know they bought in. They spend the currency of their belief with you. They spend the currency of their belief with you. When we believe in things, we invest our time, our dollars, our word of mouth in whatever it is that we believe in. So as a speaker, as a person who's an entrepreneur, which I believe any woman who's curating a community is in some capacity, those are the three stories that I believe every woman needs. And it's what I work with my clients who are women who are really building their own communities. That's what we work on. So even if they're planning an event, they're building a launch for a community, I'm gonna ask, and they know. I'm like, okay, what story are you telling? What's the narrative that you're sharing here? What are you sending out into the world? Is this good or is it good? If it's good, drop a G in the chat. Let me know. Okay. So I really want to have, and I said I was going to make this quick. Let me just jump back on in a second. I'm excited to serve you. Those of you who want to join me on Friday, what's Friday's date? The 12th? May 12th at noon Eastern time. Okay. Noon Eastern time. I'm doing a Ask Mathina Anything. You can bring any question, any story that you're working on that you're like, I would love to get your 40,000 hours on stages, your 18 years plus of experience. I want to get that on my messaging so we can work through it. And I'll give you this tip too. For those of you who are planning on coming to the Q&A, well, they call it a Q&A. I call it an AMA, Ask Mathina Anything. And if you're planning on coming to that session on Friday, here's a tip for you. If you want to work on a share of even 5 minutes of a speech that you're working on, set your camera up so that you can stand during your delivery. Okay? If you like, Mathina, I'm ready, I'm standing, and you're like, Mathina, I actually want to share a story, and I heard your tip when you said stand, so I'm standing, I'm ready. I'm definitely going to make sure that you get a chance to share and we get to your question. Why am I saying this to you? Very often, one of us are going to stand on stages and we're going to be sitting, even a virtual stage. So when I know I need to command all of my power, okay? When I know I needed to come from the bottom of my feet through my head and out through my mouth and my hands and my body movement and my energy, I'm going to stand. Even in this office, okay? I'm going to stand on that delivery. You're always going to have more power standing if you're able, okay? If you're able. If you don't have to be confined to a wheelchair or some other mechanism and you're able to stand, then do so, okay? Now, when you come to the Q&A, the AMA, ask me anything, stand. Tell me you want to stand and deliver just 3 to 5 minutes of your story, and then we'll give you some live coaching and some hot seating around it. The other thing that can happen, when we do that is that I can also not just listen to what you're saying, I can give you feedback on your body language and delivery. Okay. I was working with a client. We had a one-on-one session yesterday, and she recorded her video. And I was like, I turned the sound off, shared my screen, was like, I want you to see something. And I played moments and clips where you could see her personality come through, and she was like, oh my God, Mathina, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like, there is a huge difference when you stand and you deliver, when you adjust and know how to really change your body language from a stage and then block it. So we were able to go through yesterday, for example, here's how I want you to stand and turn. Move your body this way when we're going to address that point, because it's going to help your audience. All right. So I'm getting ready to wrap this up. I pray that this served you in some way, in some capacity. If this was good for you, if it gave you a tip or a strategy, let me know in the chat. I'm super excited to overserve you. Grab that QR code, join the mailing list. Let me know how I can serve you. We will invite you to the AMA session that's coming up this week, and that's going to be on Friday, noon. I love care of yourself. Remember that you are a divine expression. And as a divine expression, you are meant to be in the world, not just keep doing, not just look at having, but who you are meant to be in the world. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon.